WFYI podcast brought to you by Bloomington, Indiana, an American college town offering food and drink, college sports, outdoor activities, live music, cool art, and good times daily. Everyone is welcome in Bloomington. More information at visitbloomington.com.
I'm Kyle Long, host of Cultural Manifesto, just one of the local music programs you can enjoy on WFYI. These programs would not be possible without your financial support. And to say thank you, we want to send you to see Lyle Lovett when he comes to Indianapolis on July 28th. Choose a concert ticket as your gift when you donate at wfyi.org/give. And thanks for supporting WFYI.
We're going to take a trip right now. Like we always do about this time.
This is a journey into sound. Break it down.
I'm Kyle Long, and you're listening to Cultural Manifesto. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And on this week's show, we'll celebrate with music from Asian musicians and composers connected to the Hoosier state. Stay tuned for the next hour as we listen to pop, folk, classical, and electronic music featuring Indiana musicians from Vietnam, Myanmar, China, India, and more. We'll start with music from the Indian producer and musician Akash Ravikrishnan. Akash attended Purdue University from 2012 to 2016, and he's a former member of the production team here at WFYI. In 2018, Akash won an Emmy Award for his production work at WFYI. Akash has collaborated with many Indianapolis musicians and bands, including Native Son. In recent years, Akash has been making waves in the Indian hip-hop and R&B scene. His 2019 album, Overseas, was praised by Rolling Stone India as a cutting-edge Indian hip-hop LP. We'll listen to a pair of tracks from Akash now. First, we'll hear Kandivali featuring Bombay the Artist, followed by Reta Hai featuring Ace.
तेरे पैर कदी नहीं लंबना सिहा जाना गैर जगह है मेरा सुफना कहने या मैनू ठहर तू जहां भी है रुक जा ओ नहीं हो रुकना ओ नहीं हो तू भी अनजान शहर मिलना तू भी अनजान शहर मिलना तू भी अनजाने
देखो आए तारे साथी सब नशेड़ी और शराबी हर गुस्ताखी की है माफी यहाँ देसी और विदेशी हाँ हरियाली है मनाली आज तू पीले पीले चीले आज जला ले है दिवाली करता मैं वो मचा है जो काफी है जोश में रहता मदहोश अनजाने लोग भलती है सोच अनजाने कम जाने बन जाते दोस्त हाय ये I'm high you can see it in my eye हाय रहता हाय on life.
We just heard two tracks from the Indian hip-hop producer Akash. On this week's show, we're celebrating Asian Heritage Month with an hour of music from Asian musicians and composers connected to the Hoosier state. Up next, we'll hear the latest release from the Chinese-American composer Chen Yihan. Chen grew up in central Indiana and studied composition at IU's Jacobs School of Music. Chen attracted notice for his musical abilities at an early age. In 2006, the Indianapolis Star published a cover story on Chen titled Sounds of Genius. He was just 11 years old at the time. Chen released his debut album earlier this year. The record is titled Wither, and we'll hear two tracks from that project now, As Before and After Dusk.
早呀雨，树
That was Chen Yihan with After Dusk. On this week's show, we're celebrating Asian Heritage Month with an hour of music from Asian musicians and composers connected to the Hoosier state. Up next, we'll listen to music from the Vietnamese composer P.Q. Phan. Phan has been living and working in Bloomington, Indiana for 25 years. He's a professor of music composition at IU's Jacobs School of Music. As a composer, Phan has received commissions from many major orchestras and chamber music ensembles, including the Kronos Quartet. Up next, we'll listen to Kronos Quartet's 1998 recording of P.Q. Phan's Tragedy at the Opera. Cultural Manifesto will return with more music celebrating Asian Heritage Month after this short break.
WFYI podcast brought to you by Bloomington, Indiana, an American college town offering food and drink, college sports, outdoor activities, live music, cool art, and good times daily. Everyone is welcome in Bloomington. More information at visitbloomington.com.
I'm Kyle Long, and you're listening to Cultural Manifesto. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And on this week's show, we're celebrating with an hour of music from Asian musicians and composers connected to the Hoosier state. When it comes to public performance of Asian music in Indiana, the Indianapolis Chinese Orchestra is among the most active ensembles in the state. In 2016, I spoke with the orchestra's founder, Teacher Ka. We were also joined by the orchestra's former spokesperson, Quan Hui, who translated for Teacher Ka. Let's listen back to an excerpt of our conversation. Teacher Ka, when I saw the orchestra perform last week, you were performing on many different instruments. You play, is it the erhu? Mm-hmm. You played the saxophone. You played so many instruments. How many instruments are you skilled at performing on?
老实说，我还没有认真一样的都统计过。我23-24种不会少。
Teacher Ka said, well, he never tried to make a counting on how many instruments he could play. Most likely, well, about 30. 20-something, 30.
都玩得不好玩的。
Yeah, okay. Well, he's very humble. He said, wow, it's just kind of
I understand. Yes.
Of playing. He's not an expert, you know.
I understand. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I want to skip ahead to your time in Indianapolis, Teacher Ka. Mm-hmm. Tell us about forming the Indianapolis Chinese Orchestra, and how long has the organization been together?
这一点，我要感谢神。
Teacher Ka said that really the blessing of God. Teacher Ka is really a very humble Christian. He always think, well, whatever he got in his life, it really a blessing of God. He said when he come to Indianapolis about 5-6 years ago, Indianapolis is a city that not too many Chinese people or Chinese citizens like the East Coast or West Coast. But to his surprise, or under the leading or blessed by God, that he went into one time, he was brought into a Chinese community Christian church where he met the Chinese Christian people, and also he met a few families who are very interested in Chinese music. And that's how they start as a 3 or 4 families. Okay. So that was the early structure of the so-called orchestra. Purely a few families gather together during the leisure time weekend to play and to share the fun and the interest. That's it. Okay. There was no organization. However, again, it is really a blessing of God that there are more and more families heard about these little musical group and they start interest in joining in. Teacher Ka said that the early beginning was in year 2010, year 2010.
And Teacher Ka, can you talk a little bit about if there's a mission to the orchestra, like what would you like the orchestra's role to be here in the Indianapolis community? Obviously, you're trying to create some sort of cultural connection with the city.
我很高兴来到美国以后。
Teacher Ka said, again, he really thanked God. It is a blessing of God that God brought him to this lovely, great country. He doesn't have much to contribute to this society. However, he tries his best, using his musical skill and leading the orchestra, trying to contribute to our society, our community, adding, I would say, some color to the diversity of this great city. He really liked to have other ethnic individuals to join our group. We call ourselves a Chinese orchestra, but our orchestra is really a multi-ethnic. We are not only ethnic Chinese here, and we do have a number of American. And it is Teacher Ka's desire to have a lot more local folks, local Hoosiers, to join into our musical group.
Teacher Ka, you were very kind and gracious to bring a couple wonderful instruments in, and I think you're going to give us a demonstration in one moment. But I had one final question for you. I was curious where you see, in your dreams, where do you see the future of the Indianapolis Chinese Orchestra, and where do you see the future of Chinese music in Indiana?
这个实际上你应该会回答了哈。我希望。
Well, Teacher Ka said that his expectation is really try to outreaching to the entire community or the entire city or the entire state of Indiana. Cross culture is really our expectation. But what really Teacher Ka really like to see is there are more non-ethnic Chinese musicians join in our orchestra. That really makes it a multi-ethnic, multi-diverse, a rainbow, I would say a rainbow orchestra. That is his dream.
That's wonderful. And Teacher Ka, you brought some great instruments with you today. Would you like to share what you brought for us and give us a demonstration?
Okay.
简单一点了哈，意思发声音是吧？
Yeah. Teacher Ka is very happy to do a couple of
福禄斯呢？
of demonstration.
这是中国的少数民族
The first instrument that Teacher Ka is going to demonstrate is called hulusi. The hulusi is really very special and very unique, a pipe wind instrument that originated from the ethnic minority in Teacher Ka's home province, Yunnan. In the past 30 years or so, this specific pipe instrument had received a lot of attention in the musical communities in China. So he's going to do some demonstration on this hulusi.
这是主管主音。
Now the construction, there's 3 pipe construction. There's a primary, the main pipe, which is the biggest one, and there are 2 other smaller pipe. One, the middle size, and the other small size. Those 2 pipes are the supplement to the main pipe. he's going to demonstrate a brief section that consists of a Chinese flavor and also the American flavor. Okay, very
Thank
good.
you. That was
太
fantastic.
优美国，太优美国。
That was
Well,
Teacher Ka playing the Hulu C, right?
Policy, right.
Yes, thank you so
right,
much.
Right.
And it's so is that a gourd at the top?
Oh, yes, that is a goal.
Yes.
So that when the old gourd becomes so hot, so old, it becomes a very hard structure. The craftsman just make it hollow and then fit the 3 pipes into the gourd. Yeah. Now, I guess everybody know what are the musics, There's no need for me to explain, to tell people or to tell the audience what music they are. But I'd like to point out, in the first American song that Teacher Ka played, he actually manipulate the pipes so that it generates actually more than one song. It is more than 1, 2, or 3 different songs.
It's sort of like the bagpipe that people
Exactly,
might
right,
be familiar
right,
with.
very-
There's 2 pipes playing a drone, and then Teacher Ka is playing a solo on the main pipe. Yeah,
Right,
it's very
right.
nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's some similarity in terms of the song output. There is some similarity between this Hulu C and the Scottish bagpipe.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I agree.
And Teacher Ka, you brought another instrument with you, the erhu. Is that right?
Teacher Ka is going to do a demonstration using the erhu. A lot of people call erhu is a kind of Chinese violin.
中国的二胡差不多就是等于你们的小提琴了，但是你
Yes.
们的小提琴有4条弦，我们只有2条线，照样玩。
Yeah. Teacher Ka said, well, the erhu with 2 wire, it is kind of equivalent to the Western's violin. The violin has 4 wires. But using 2 wires in erhu, that Teacher Ka or the Chinese musicians can generate the same kind of musical tone as the 4-wire violin. Okay, very good. The first piece of music Teacher Ka demonstrated was the very typical Chinese song called the Jasmine Flower. I think a lot of people, not necessarily that they are the ethnic Chinese, but that Jasmine Flower has been really internationally famous. A lot of people recognize that. The other one, of course, everybody knows is O Susan. Yeah, coming from a Chinese violin.
我想用二胡拉一首歌。
Oh, before Teacher Ka leave, he wants to do one song for your audience.
That was Teacher Ka, founder of the Indianapolis Chinese Orchestra. On this week's show, we're celebrating Asian Heritage Month with an hour of music from Asian musicians and composers connected to the Hoosier state. Up next, we'll hear music from Myanmar A, an important Burmese singer who's been living in Fort Wayne, Indiana since 1998. Indiana is home to one of the largest Burmese populations in the United States. According to a 2021 article published by the Indianapolis Star, roughly 35,000 Burmese people reside in Indiana. Myanmar A is certainly one of the most prominent Burmese immigrants residing in Indiana, and one of the most significant Asian American musicians in the state. We'll listen to a track from an album titled Pleasant Morning Songs. This is Myanmar A with Pleasant Sensation. That was the Burmese vocalist, Myanmar A, with the Pleasant Sensation. Myanmar A has been living in Fort Wayne, Indiana since 1998. On this week's show, we're celebrating Asian Heritage Month with an hour of music from Asian musicians and composers connected to the Hoosier state. Up next, we'll hear music from another Fort Wayne-based artist, the Indian-American composer and producer Nitish Kulkarni. From 2011 to 2015, Nitish attended college at IU Bloomington. In 2017, he relocated to Fort Wayne, where he resides today. We'll hear two tracks from Nitish now.
Manda manda musakatana piya, manda manda musakatana piya, paiya pakad pori adhar chuave, paiya pakad pori adhar chuave, laaj avat mohe man hulasave, balamava. तू मला कुशीला घ्यावे अंधार हळू ढवळावा तू मला कुशीला घ्यावे अंधार हळू ढवळावा.
We just heard music from the Fort Wayne-based producer and composer, Nitish Kulkarni. On this week's show, we've been celebrating Asian Heritage Month with an hour of music from Asian musicians and composers connected to the Hoosier state. And we'll end with music from the Chinese-American composer Shi Wang. She's an assistant professor of music at IU Bloomington's Jacobs School of Music, specializing in electronic and computer music. We'll listen to a 2019 recording of Peony Garden, which is described as a multi-channel, real-time, interactive performance composition for 4 Nintendo Wii controllers. Peony Garden is inspired by the 16th century traditional Chinese opera, The Peony Pavilion. That's all the time we have for this week. Thanks for tuning in for our celebration of Asian Heritage Month. Check out the Cultural Manifesto podcast at WFYI.org or wherever you listen to podcasts. Cultural Manifesto is hosted and produced by me, Kyle Long. Thank you for listening.
WFYI podcast brought to you by Bloomington, Indiana, an American college town offering food and drink, college sports, outdoor activities, live music, cool art, and good times daily. Everyone is welcome in Bloomington. More information at visitbloomington.com.